I think I'm live on YouTube. Okay. I'm just going to server mute you guys just in case. And okay. I think I'm live. I am? I am. This is on me here. Okay. 1098765431. All right. Let's get this going. Let me paste this in the Discord. Where is this? Announcements. Live stream happening. Live stream happening now here. Okay. Another Friday, another Humane live stream. This time with a, well, no. I mean, every time is a special guest. Good morning, everybody. Give me a second here. I'm just pushing a tweet. Okay. Now, what is the preview going to give me on Twitter? Can you imagine if Twitter just goes away? I'd be so sad. Okay, good morning, Wemo Way. Good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. Good morning. Hi, Mom. Jim LP, what's up? Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. All right, let me just test. Let me do this really quickly. I'm gonna come over here and see what this looks like. Except I can't exactly. How's this? You should be able to hear me because I'm loved up. And then I have the other microphone ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, I see you. I see you over there. Great, wonderful. Now I just wait. I wait for Bethany. Bethany's going to be joining me today. Bethany's going to be sitting here. Does it look okay? It looks okay. I can't lean over. I think it looks okay. Is this 60 FPS? It should be. It should be. All right, let me switch back here. Oh, God. Okay. Sam, what's up? Nick Tolson. Interview setups are always minimalist and immaculate. Thanks, Colin. I like this little setup here. So I've got Mark II over here, 1635, and then Mark III is the Bethany cam. Looks good, thanks. It's good, thanks. Did my first paid video shoot last Sunday. It's YouTubers like you that inspired me to start my own journey. Nice, dude. I can hear you. Nice. Yeah, looks amazing. Great. Can you imagine if Twitter did go away? It looks great. Who's still verified? Yeah, did they take that away? It is such a mess. It is truly such a mess. Like, I got on Twitter last night after the movie. Oh, Elon tweeted just again. As Twitter pursues the goal of elevating citizen journalism, media elite will try everything to stop that from happening. Mainstream media will still thrive, but increased competition from citizens will cause them to be more accurate as their oligopoly on information is disrupted. It's funny. I understand, I understand the verification thing. I do. Where am I looking? Right here. I understand. It just feels so broken out. It feels like they're moving with such haste and swiftness that, like, I mean, Twitter has been a historically very slow moving company. And now that Elon is at the helm, it just feels like they are moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which, look, I just hope that at the end of the day, Twitter exists, because I love Twitter. But it seems like a mess there. If I had to guess, it wouldn't surprise me if Twitter completely, almost all but completely, was gutted in terms of employees. Like, they fired half the staff, so it went from like 7,000 to 3,500. It wouldn't surprise me if Twitter, by its own employees' volition, not from Elon's doing. Elon already fired half the company. But it wouldn't surprise me if Twitter got super lean. I'm talking like sub-1,000 employees. But we'll see. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Good to see Good to see you. Need a multi-flavored water machine and new couches, noted. Will you be taking questions from the chat or Discord? Both. How was Black Panther? It was awesome. No spoilers. It was awesome. Brands are totally discombobulated what to do on Twitter. Yeah. Can they just make the verified check needs actual verification like photo ID? Yeah. Yeah, that word is fun. I love Twitter as well. I hope it still exists. I've had such great luck and success with Twitter, but it's going to crash and burn. The double verification bag irked me so much. Discombobulated is one of my favorite English words ever. Yeah, I understand what they're trying to do. The paid verification, because it's like on the one hand, for the people that aren't verified, they have the opportunity to get verified simply by paying. But as someone that has been verified, it dilutes the notion of what it has meant to be verified on the platform for its entire existence. And let's not forget, Twitter, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but Twitter, I think, was the first social media to like introduce this notion of being verified. And then very quickly after, of course, you saw Instagram verification, and every other social media platform now has verification, but it's always been subjective, you know? And so like, what is the point and the goal of being verified now? To prevent spam, because it's expensive to pay $8 a month, and instead of making 1,000 free bots, you know, it would cost you 8 times 1,000, $8,000 if you wanted to make 1,000 bots, you know? But it completely dilutes like what it actually means to be verified. Like I check my mentions now and I see verified people, and it's just like, it sounds extremely elitist and whatever other words you want to use, but like I've been verified for a long time on Twitter, and it's completely different now. Not necessarily a bad thing, it's completely different. I have to ask, thoughts on the Dance Gavin Dance announcement? If you don't want to answer, no worries. That is a topic for another discussion. Movement plateau. I'm feeling fire was more restful about management, previous leadership. What's your role at Humane? I'm head of new media. Hi, gang. What's up, TJ? I have to ask. Oh, I read that already. Good morning, Sam Chef. How are you doing today? Happy Friday. I'm doing great. Back in the day, you had to show yourself and give information to be verified. Now, if you only need $8, it's not true verification. Geocosmic Valentine, you had to show yourself and give some information to be verified. Not exactly, no. Paid verification is also another incentive for people to pay for Twitter Blue in order to move away from relying on ad revenue on Twitter. Yes. I think the advertising model for businesses, it works in some instances, but like, I think there is merit to this idea of users paying for the service. Like people happily pay. I've happily been paying for Spotify Premium since 2012. I happily pay for iCloud. I happily pay for Google storage. Like I happily pay for YouTube Premium, and I think a lot of people are happy to pay for a blue check mark. But I think it needs to be rethought, Lockheed Martini is my favorite. Totally respect. What's up, Mr. Haraga LY? Happy Friday. Hey, Sam. First one of these I've been able to catch live. Looking forward to it. Thanks. I think Bethany is out there somewhere. Maybe. She'll be joining me soon. Patreon accounts, I spend $20 a month on 2 different ones. I love the value, 100% there for users to pay for features for additional content. Yeah. I'm using Twitter Blue for months now, and I love the extra features. I don't care about verification. Nick, I'm with you. I've been using Twitter Blue since I was able to sign up for it. I think it was only this year. This year has been a roller coaster, to say the least. But I personally just like having a different icon, and then you can theme Twitter differently, and you can arrange the tab bar along the bottom to change like what's there, and change the order. And I'll happily pay $3 a month to get some customizable features. It's $36 a year to use a platform that I've gotten. Twitter, my usage of Twitter has been as a power user for the last 10 plus years. And so for me to be able to give Twitter money every month feels fine. It's not a tall task. It's not $80 a month, for that service. Like Creative Cloud is $500 or $600 a year, and I would argue that I in some way have gotten just as much value out of Twitter as I've gotten out of Adobe Creative Cloud. As crazy as that sounds, and Twitter has been free forever. Yeah. Lex Friedman had Destiny on. Who's Destiny? I've been using Twitter Blue for months. This green furniture is awesome for the audio sound. I had a chat in them years ago. Nice. Congrats on your new position. Thanks. I think Humane is such a hidden gem. I agree, Theon Fu. How soon will Humane release its first product demo? Well, we definitely have demos. Releasing to the public, TBD. There she is. There she is. I'm sure. Here, I think if you want to just scoot over here, I can move this for you here. Oh, God. Oh, right, your coffee's here. Can you just clip this to your jacket?
Yes.
And you'll be all set to go.
Where's the best spot?
Best spot is basically right up there. All right, let me check. Great. This. Okay, let me just reposition the camera a tiny bit.
I love this couch.
Okay. Is that that wasn't the machine coffee, right?
No,
that was
no.
the other one. The other one. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, this is Bethany Bongiorno, co-founder, CEO of Humane. What is Humane? Humane is a word. Humane is also a company. Humane is an idea. Humane is a notion of existence. And he plans on having an office in the UK, probably eventually, I would say.
If Imran is here, he would say yes, as soon as possible.
Yes. All right,
Eventually.
Bethany. How are you doing today on this
I'm
lovely
doing good.
Friday?
It's been it's crazy right now. It's a crazy week. It's super busy. We had an amazing day yesterday. The whole team, we have a team meeting every 2 weeks where the whole team comes together. We talk about everything that's going on across everything at the company, whether it's software, hardware, services,
Everything.
branding, marketing, every aspect of the business.
And what's awesome is that every time we do it, there's more and more people
I
working
know.
here.
And we do intros, we welcome all the new people,
it's
and then
great.
we do Q&A, and then we also do demos. So the team gets to show off their work in our experience space, which is where we, work together, and it's out in the open, and engineers across the company in different aspects of the business, and not only engineers, basically anyone at the company can share work that is going on. So, and the whole team is invited, so you get to see some crazy stuff that's happening across the company, and yesterday was really fun. And we had a visitor yesterday, actually, during the demo portion, and they sent me a note this morning that said, "I'm still picking my job off the floor." It was electric, and I said it was electric.
Yeah.
And they loved how everyone clapped for their peers and their partners and their colleagues, like every time someone showed something really cool. So, yeah, that was fun. That was a good day.
Today, this week is crazy.
It's been very busy.
And then it's just, there's upcoming craziness,
Yes. It's going to be a little bit, I always tell people, like, we're at the last base camp, like before going to the peak, and so it's, the energy is, there's a lot of different types of emotions.
Go like your hair is like has like this.
Oh, I kind of like it.
Yeah, the static is just because you can't see what you look like.
Telling me my hair.
I think we can maybe talk about. Well, there's a lot of things I want to talk about today. You have a hard cutoff at 11.
I do, yes. We have someone coming in.
So we have roughly 40 minutes to chat. I think sort of like housekeeping things. We are coming out of stealth next year. Like, it's happening.
Yes,
right?
is
2023 is when we are announcing a product. We're having a product for sale. People will see what we're building for the first time. It's extremely exciting, a little bit scary, but way more exciting. So if you're wondering when, it's next year.
Yes.
As in, sometime between January 1st and December 31st. Because what I'll tell you, and this is something that I have seen firsthand here, but that this is like a Verge-ism. Hardware is hard. Like it just traditionally to build software, like if you need to fix something in software, you just go boop, 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 push, and it gets sent out over the internet waves. Hardware is a completely different beast.
I will say though, I think software is very complex,
Yep.
very complicated.
Yep.
In fact, like in some ways more complex and more complicated. So yeah, I think it's the fact that, there's a lot of pieces in all of it. But yeah, and we're, obviously we know more than we're sharing at the moment in terms of the timeline, but that's okay. We're going to tell everyone really soon.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So let's go backwards in time.
Okay.
I want to use this opportunity to understand, Bethany, your, how did you even get to working at Apple? Like aside from all of the awesome things you did at Apple, but let's start with where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
Where in New Jersey?
My parents actually now live by the shore in
Nice.
The Jersey Shore. So they live in a place called Avon by the Sea.
In Avon. Wow, it's one of the
which is-
beaches there. Yeah.
by like Belmar. And
Wow.
so they have a house there, and but I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Morris County in a town called Long Valley, which is a kind of small town in New Jersey. And we moved around a little bit. I graduated from Randolph High School in Randolph, New Jersey, if anyone knows it. And I went to NYU, so I knew that's where I wanted to go to college, and I was pretty dead set on, that's where I want to be. The second my parents dropped me off when I was 18, I said like, bye, never coming back again. I'm going to be a New Yorker for life. And I went to college in New York and lived there for a couple of years after. But my first week at NYU was the week of September 11th, so it was a pretty challenging entry into being an adult, I would say.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was living in if anyone knows NYU, I was living in the Weinstein dorm, which is near Washington Square Park.
Yeah. Is that the one on Broadway? Or it's like near?
It's on, I want to say University Place.
Okay,
It's
yep,
near
yep.
Washington Square Park right there.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a really interesting time, and I spent 2 years at NYU, and then I left NYU after 2 years, and I transferred to Barnard College, which is part of Columbia University, just uptown, and that's where I ultimately graduated from and studied physics, majored in physics and a minor in math.
You studied physics?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay, so you have technical chops of sorts.
I'm not a traditional, I don't have a traditional CS background. I didn't study computer science. So I definitely didn't have a traditional path into tech.
But math and science,
Yeah,
math,
and I would say that like at the high level, I think the thing that physics helped me with is problem solving, like ultimately seeing something very complicated and like being able to break it down into sizable chunks and understand like how do we take this very complicated problem, whether it be people and tasks and a big challenge, and how do we make it be something we can execute on. So I ended up like randomly in astrophysics because I was really interested in astrology and just astronomy and all of it. I mean, all the aspects of the universe and astrophysics, and I ended up studying that, and I became a research assistant at the Museum of Natural History, working for Neil deGrasse Tyson, who ran the Hayden Planetarium at the Museum of Natural History. He had a bunch of research assistants that were doing work there that needed interns essentially, and I worked with 2 people there on doing research on a couple of really cool things. Actually, we wrote some papers on discovering new companion stars and like using really interesting technology to do data analysis. I mean, ultimately, astrophysics is data analysis because you don't really have much else to work off of instead of otherwise. And so I got really into data analysis, and sent me to PricewaterhouseCoopers, where I did data management consulting and like to help big companies figure out insights from their data. And it was a kind of a combination between data analysis and computer science and software development, because essentially we were helping them build software tools to understand their data. So I became kind of like a project manager working on big, software projects that were centered around data. I did that for a couple of years and I loved it. I loved the people side of it. I loved working with like executives, but also engineers and with, business partners and understanding people's very complicated problems. Like we would be called in to big companies and that was super fascinating. So I loved that.
So you lived in New York from college to basically until you worked at Apple?
Yes. I actually worked. So I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers for a couple of years in New York. Although as a consultant, you're traveling all over the place. So I was in Miami, and I was in Washington D.C., and I was kind of everywhere. And then the true story about San Francisco is I was working for PwC, and I came out here for a personal trip to San Francisco. And it was for this thing called the Love Parade. If anyone is like an electronic music fan, there used to be this thing in San Francisco called the Love Parade, which was basically a parade that went down Market Street and ended at the Civic Center with a massive kind of rave of sorts of electronic music. No. And I came out here for that, and I was on Market Street, and I went into the Walgreens. I think it was a Walgreens on Market Street to like get a drink. And there was a man who was standing in line at Walgreens, and he was completely naked, and he had like sneakers on with socks, and he was just buying like a Coke, and like nobody said anything. Everyone was totally fine with it, and no one was looking at him strangely. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, what is happening here? Like, it was totally like I had landed in a new place. And I just said, whatever's happening here. And I don't know why, but like something in my heart was like, whatever's happening here, I need to come figure it out. So I called up my company and I said, hey, I'd really like to move to California and work for PwC in California. Would you move me out? And they said yes. I had an amazing advocate and mentor there.
Wow.
Who supported me a lot and helped me. And they said, okay, and they moved me out here.
Was this your first time in California?
Yes.
That SF trip was your first time in California?
I think I had been here when I was 14, maybe because my dad was going to move, his business was going to move him out here, and I came for like a trip with him. But no, I'd never.
Like in your adult life?
Oh, in my adult life, 100%. I'd never been out here. So, yeah, so I moved out here, and I worked in San Jose. PricewaterhouseCoopers had an office in San Jose. I took Caltrain every day and worked there, and we were building internal tools for audits. So basically a big part of what PwC's business is audit related. And so we were building a software tool internally for auditing, and I was a project manager doing that, and I loved it. I learned how to, build and ship things internally.
And that when you say build and ship, it's like the schedule, it's working with the engineers, it's working with the stakeholders.
Yes.
You sort of like the glue of it all, making sure the whole thing
like comes together. Yes, and that we're gonna make it happen. And I loved it, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I realized, I really, I was just feeling a little itchy. I didn't know, I wasn't in the right place. I just was ready for something more challenging, and I really wanted to do something that would really cause me to learn more. And so I decided to apply to business school, and I thought the decision is I'm going to go to business school. Mind you, I was 23. I think I was 23 at the time. I was really young. I didn't have a lot of experience, but I applied myself. I studied. I took the tests. I did the applications, and I applied to business school, thinking that was the appropriate next step. And I got pretty far. I think I applied to Stanford and Berkeley.
Whoa.
And
Did you get in?
I got an interview, which is a big deal. That kind of means like you're basically in. And I went to the interview, and the woman who interviewed me sat across from me, and I've told this story before, but she sat across from me and said, like, essentially, who are you and why do you deserve this? Like, you have very little experience. You're 23 years old. You've had one job your whole life. Like, what do you bring to the table? Full stop. And actually at the time I was, I was pretty upset about how the interaction went, but then later I realized like she was right. I had only, one job. I would be sitting across from people in the room that, had a lot more experience, had a lot more depth to like what they had done and their perspective. And so she was essentially saying a lot of people come to business school for the relationships, and a lot of them come for like the networking and, creating and learning through one another. And I think the feedback was pretty valid. So I didn't get in after the interview, and I said, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And typical like Bethany form, I said, you know what? I'm going to take the feedback and I'm going to like go 100%. Like I'm 100% at all times, which is true of me. And so I said, I'm going to go get my PhD in building. Like I'm going to go.
Wow.
I'm going to go like learn how to build. Like I'm going to take the feedback of you need to have more, and I'm just going to go get as much as I possibly can. So I ended up with an interview at Apple. And I showed up on the iPhone. I showed up and I talked to a couple of different divisions. Like I talked to the finance division because of my math background, because of my experience in financial services. I talked to a couple of different groups, and I really hit it off with the woman who was leading the iPhone program at the time, which was very small. The team was really tiny. It was only, the iPhone had just shipped in 2007. It was, it was early 2008, I think, at the time, so it had only been out for a year. And I showed up with like a BlackBerry and a suit, and I went to my interviews. I interviewed with 22 people, which was essentially like the entire iPhone team at the time.
Whoa.
And I remember this one guy said to me, like, you need to not wear a suit every day. Like, you look like an auditor. He said, everyone thinks you're an auditor. Like, you should not wear a suit. But yeah, I remember they asked me in my interviews, like, have you ever used an iPhone? And I said, nope. Like, what's your favorite app? I said, I don't know anything.
I want to interject here and ask what attracted you to Apple? Like, why Apple?
Because I didn't know anything about it. I was like, I want to learn as much as I humanly can.
What
like,
was your perspective on the company in 08?
That they were doing something really different. That they
The phone.
were, yeah.
So you knew about the phone.
I knew about the phone.
Did you have a MacBook? Like
no, I was a PC.
Okay.
Excel.
BlackBerry, like all Windows. Oh, right, you're working in finance,
I was working
banking.
in finance.
Yeah.
So I think it was the fact that they were doing something really hard and new and challenging and something totally unfamiliar, and I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone. And I remember when I interviewed, I actually told the people that interviewed me, I said, I'm here to learn. Like, I'm here to be a sponge. I'm going to ask a ton of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to like get my PhD in how do you build product for consumer, because previously I had spent all this time building product for internal usage and also for customers where as a consultant, you build a product, you hand it off to someone, and you say, good luck, hope it works. And then you're kind of hands off, right? And I wanted to own something from beginning to end. I wanted to understand how you deal with failure and fix it, and how do you deal with feedback, and like the whole life cycle from beginning to end.
So it was the denial from... It was that woman.
Oh,
basically,
I had fire in me. I was like, I'm gonna go, but it was good. It was a good thing. Like, I'm gonna go learn as much. Yeah, I took it as like.
It's just crazy how those things happen, and maybe in the moment you don't realize,
It was
right?
the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100%.
Like, imagine she had said, "Oh no, come go to school here." Your whole life trajectory would have been different.
Yeah, I would have met my husband.
Did you ever go back and say, thanks for denying me?
No,
Like, I wonder if she knows where you are now.
I actually tell this to a lot of people because the story, and there's been a couple of moments like that in my life where people have come into it and really, in 5 minutes, have changed the trajectory of my life.
Crazy.
And when I left PwC, my partner, the partner that was my advocate there, he was amazing, and I have a lot of respect for him. I still talk to them at PwC. I'm still connected with them. They're incredible people, and I owe a lot to them. And when I told him, and I called him and told him that I was going to leave and go to Apple, and I had gotten this opportunity to leave, He told me it was the biggest mistake I was ever going to make.
Well, he probably wanted you to stay.
Of course he did.
You know?
And I respected him a lot. And I called him up and I said, I have this opportunity to go work on the iPhone team. And I said, like, they want me to join. They've given me an offer. I'm going to be a project manager on the iPhone. And he said to me, this is a huge mistake. And I remember, like, on the phone, I had a choice. Like, do I listen to this person who I respect a lot? And I remember what I said back to him. Like, I remember holding the phone. I remember what it feels like. I remember, like, what was happening. And I just said to him, like, I hear you. It may be a mistake, but I understand why it may be a mistake. His response to me was, you're gonna spend your entire life for the next 3 years. You're gonna sacrifice a lot for 3 years. You're not going to be able to do anything else. Like, you're gonna give everything to this company. And you know what I said? I said, I understand. And I'm like all in. I mean, I'm 100% in person. That's who I am. And I was like, I hear you. I'm going 100% in. And I respect what you have to say, and I want you to know I hear it, and I'm gonna do it anyway. And I did it anyway, and you know, and he was right, 100%. He was right, but I went in eyes open, like I knew what I was doing, and I knew why I was doing it, and yeah, I have no regrets. It was the best.
So you joined Apple in 2008.
Yes.
Before the 3G launched.
Yes, right before, and
Right
I worked
before
on
the 3G
on
launch.
the 3D launch with. That's how I met Ken and Imran.
Wow.
Yeah, Ken and I worked on cut, copy, paste together. That's how I met Ken.
I vividly remember that was iOS 3.
Yeah.
Vividly remember that.
We worked on cut, copy, paste at the time. And I remember at the time I was like, you guys haven't shipped cut, copy, paste yet? I was like, I was so judgy. I was a little bit like, man, really? But then I understood the process. I understood why. And there was a lot of thought that went into everything. And so, yeah, it was great. I met Imran on my first day and I started working with Ken. And I worked on Maps. I worked on Safari, a couple things for a couple months. And I shipped those, and then they asked me to lead the iPad project. So that was the, you know, and then
Did you know about the iPad project
no,
coming in?
No. I had no idea. I thought I was going to be like an iPhone project manager. And
Did you get a 3G? Was that your first iPhone?
Yes, I did. That was my first phone.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, it was great. And then yeah, and then
I'm sure it was.
I loved it. Although I was a little skeptical. I mean, like everybody, I remember telling them, like, I was a diehard BlackBerry person, and I remember telling them, like, the keyboard's really hard to type on, and it was, but it got a lot better over time. And
Did you hang on to your BlackBerry?
No, man, I had to go all in. I was like, I couldn't be seen with anything like that.
And then you got a Mac computer, and you went.
So they had this. It was really interesting because the way that they worked was very different than anywhere I'd ever worked before. And when you start on your first day, when you walked into the office, into your own office, there was just a box on the desk that had your computer in it. Like, nothing was set up, nothing was done for you. And that was a lot of, I think, Steve's ethos was like, it should be so easy that anyone should be able to do it. You should be able to set up your whole. But I remember it was a little intimidating at first because it was amazing though. And and then my boss asked me a couple months into it. She said, "Hey, we have this project, and it's I can't tell you what it is, but like we need you to do it. But you have a choice. Like you can say yes or no, but you have 24 hours to like make a decision essentially. And it's going to be really hard, and you're going to have to work really hard for a long time. And will you do it?" And like it could be a failure. I mean, I remember at the time it was kind of like, and I talked to who my peer and my partner was going to be on the engineering side, who they had paired me up with, and I said like, is this a risk? Like, we don't know if this is going to go well or not. And we both kind of said, let's just do it. And we did it. And then the next day I went into a room and signed an NDA, and like,
wow.
That was it. Yeah.
And then you just moved off the iPhone program. And went full,
yes. For like a period of time, and then went back to the phone once we like merged everything together.
Were you in the audience when Steve?
Yes, I was sitting behind Al Gore.
April of 2010, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, funny story about that. I was there all weekend, obviously, and working really hard to prepare for the announcement. And we, it was really scary and nerve-wracking. And you know, this was something I had spent a lot of time on, and representing a lot of people who couldn't be in the room. A lot of the people who worked on iPad, the room was only press, and Steve wanted it that way. So there was no engineers in the room, no teammates in the room. Like I was like the
You were
only
there.
one from the project side that was there, along with some other members of the core executive team, and I remember they at one point they tried to ask me to leave the room, and I'd been there all weekend working, you know, not sleeping, helping out, preparing for the announcement. And at one point someone came over to me and said like, hey, you know, you need to leave because we need these seats for press. And I'll never forget a man named Eric Albert, who I still think about that moment to this day. Talk about being like an advocate and standing up for someone. He like grabbed my arm and he looked at this person and he said, you know, she's been here all weekend. She's not leaving. Like
Wow.
this is her thing. This is her project. She's not leaving. And I remember I just was so grateful that this person spoke up for me. And Eric was a great guy, and he spoke up for me and said like, you know, she's staying.
And so you were in the room.
And so I sat there, and funny story, so I was sitting there and my parents had no idea what I was working on for 2 years. And so
Wow.
I remember texting them. I think I have a screenshot of the text message, like I had it at one point. I don't have it anymore, but that I texted them and said like, make sure you watch the news today, because
Today's the
whatever you're gonna see on the news, like that's the project that I've been like leading for 2 years.
Wow.
And then I remember I wasn't breathing and I was sitting there like not breathing, and Eric turned to me and he goes, you need to breathe, you're not breathing. And I was like, I know I'm not breathing.
Oh my God.
And it was
Wow.
great. And you know, Steve held up the iPad, and it was really quiet in the room because it was mostly press, and so it was a little bit strange that it was so quiet. Everybody was on their computer. They all had their computers open and they were typing. And the second he held up the iPad, I was like pretty nervous. And then all of a sudden the reporters behind me just said like, oh, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then I think I breathed for the first time, like, oh, okay, this is like, it's, you know. But the software's still not done at that point. I mean, at the announcement, it's not done. You're holding your breath that things are not going to go wrong. And,
Yeah.
but that's the fun part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you worked on phone and iPad. What else?
So
Or
basically,
mostly phone or iPad?
No. Well, basically, after the iPad launched, everything kind of merged back together. So iPhone and iPad and became iOS. If you remember, that merge happened. It used to be two different OSs, and then it merged together. iPhone OS and iPad OS became iOS. That was like a big
Out.
thing.
I remember, Bethany. I remember.
So, and then eventually, if you remember, you know, Mac OS merged into the whole thing, right? Mac OS was like a separate division of the company, and then once Scott left, then they merged Mac OS in, because now Craig was leading all of it. So by the end of it, when we left, I was leading iOS and Mac OS kind of from the program perspective, a lot of the release management for, you know, making sure that everything relating to the releases was going well. And
So can you dive one layer deeper? Not give away all the secrets, but for people that are watching to understand, help explain, like, what does that mean to be like doing project management? You know, it's like it's meeting deadlines, it's, you know, talking with people, obviously. Like, what does it look like?
I kind of think about it like being the conductor of an orchestra, meaning like you're kind of the one making sure that everyone is like showing up on time, that they know what they're supposed to be playing, they know how they collaborate with one another. If let's say there's a disagreement between parties, you're like pulling them together and solving the problems. Like you're essentially, you know, I feel like that's my personal, you know, view on things, but essentially you're the people that are making sure that all of the moving pieces are coming together in the right way, and that a lot of it is not only relating to the technical side of things and making sure that we're solving the right technical problems, we're talking about the right technical problems, but a lot of it is people management too, in terms of like, there's a lot of, you know, building things is hard and messy and emotional, and so making sure that people have what they need to be successful, they understand what they need to be doing, they have a forum to say what they need to be successful, and it's a beautiful art form, I think, in terms of all the moving pieces, but yeah, it's all about execution and like efficiency, and that's how I think about it.
When you look back at your time at Apple in comparison to your time at PwC, what have you taken away, like just like big picture type of things from, like I want to hear the PwC answer first, and then obviously the Apple answer. Like what do you walk away from both of those jobs thinking?
Like, what did I love about it?
What did you, like when you look back, you're like, I'm proud of X, or I learned Y, or like,
Yeah. It's funny when I a lot of times when people come to me for advice that are in college and they don't really know what to do, a lot of times I send them to be a consultant at a big four firm like PwC.
Yep.
Mainly for one reason, which is what I learned there was how to understand people, how to read a room, how to interact with any level of a company. Like I remember my first day as like not an intern at PwC, but like a real employee there. My boss came to me and said, "Hey, I need you to go to Washington, D.C. tomorrow to meet with the head of a massive international law firm. They're having a really big issue. They have a big project. They need someone to help build a software solution." And I was 21 years old, and I looked at him and I was like, "How do I get to D.C.? Like, how do I like, And he didn't care. He's like, "You just need to just go there, and this is the name of the firm, and this is the guy's name, and like go." The head of this company. And I remember thinking like, holy crap, like you're trusting me to go figure this out. So I think there was a lot of like understanding, what accountability meant, what responsibility meant and again, I'm talking about being 21 years old and what that means, but being able to like be in a room with the CEO and being able to like have a conversation with an executive team, and then also how to navigate a conversation with like in maybe a very high pressure situation, like how to make sure that a conversation and a meeting go well, like how do we make sure we walk out of here with an answer, I think I learned a lot there about how to understand people, how to work with people,
how to function
in a business sense.
Yes,
so I would say like that I definitely attribute like a lot to what I learned there. And you just had to figure it out. And I think that was the other thing too, like you just had to figure it out. He was like, go, and I was like, okay, I'll figure out how I'm gonna like somehow get to DC, and then I have to figure out where this place is, and then I have to
So there wasn't a sense of hand holding there,
zero.
Right? Like,
no.
I feel like they hire you and it's like, okay, you're in the door, figure it out.
Yes,
right?
There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple projects where like I had a big project in Miami, South Beach, and they were like, so, you're gonna have to stay in South Beach for the summer and you're gonna have to work, which was amazing. but they were like, we are working for, on a big anti-money laundering project, and it's super data heavy and, a lot of problem solving. Again, going back to physics, it was a lot of like, we have this client who's coming to us with a really big problem, and they're asking for our help, and we have to be the ones with answers. We have to be the ones that say like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and here's how we're gonna solve it.
Wow.
And so I think it taught me a lot about the complexity of problem solving, and also how people, the management of the people and the thinking through the people aspect of it is so critical. So yeah, that was a huge, I loved it for that. I feel like I learned a lot.
And Apple?
Process. Oh man.
Oh God.
That's a longer book. Apple, obviously I learned how to build products.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like really understanding the process of product development, whether it's from software, hardware, like all the aspects of it, services, all the pieces of it.
With like mega strict deadlines and expectations, right?
And
also, you interface with Steve?
I mean, yes, but not in a level that others did at all. Like, I was not in his presence often.
Okay.
It was more like passing conversation.
Did he know your name?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
He knew Imran's name.
Oh yes.
And knew
sure.
Ken's name.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not me. I tell the story that like during iPad, the iPad launch, I was in the room with a very small group of people, and I screwed something up as we were preparing for the launch, and he turned around and said, like, what happened up on the stage? Because we were prepping for the announcement, and I thought to myself, like, am I going to say something? Am I going to take? And I did, and I said, oh, that was my,
Whoa.
I accidentally, we were prepping the devices on stage for the announcement, and there was a lot of like work that had to go into prepping them because they weren't fully done yet. And so something had happened, and I forgot a step in my in my process.
And you took the heat.
And I did, and I said, it's not a bug. I remember saying, like, it's not a bug, don't worry, it won't happen at the event. I just forgot something. And let me just say that the response in the room was not great about forgetting something, but it wasn't as bad as if like I hadn't taken responsibility, and I did.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was. I had great interactions with him whenever I did, but no, not to the level that others did.
Do you think about? This is sort of a little bit of a different question. Do you think about the scale in terms of how much of humanity you and the rest of the team have impacted? I mean, you've personally impacted me, like I've camped out for iPhones, like I bought the original iPad. Like, is it lost on you how many human beings, I mean, like Apple, we can't say this about many companies, but Apple truly changed the world in terms of modern consumer technology. Is it lost on you?
No, I think the truth of the matter is the things that I care about the most, and that like when people ask me like, what are you the most proud of? I think about the ones that people talk to me about still today, and I think Patrick would probably say the same thing, and Imran as well. Like things like FaceTime, even things like iMessage. I hear a lot from people about how they have visual voicemails saved from their parent who maybe passed away a really long time ago, or how FaceTime allowed them to see somebody that they haven't been able to see for many years, and through COVID. And I mean, I still think there's amazing things that are being built and that have been built there. And yeah, I think, but typical me, I am always like, what's next? What can we do that's bigger? What can we do that's like, even better? I'm constantly looking for like, that's just who I am. I'm constantly looking for like, what's the next step? So I think my whole career has been like based off of that. Is like, what's like the thing beyond this thing? So, how do we do more? How do we do something that is pushing things forward a little bit more?
So you were there for shipping hardware. Obviously the phones and the software are coupled together, but it's like the hardware launches, the software launches, iPad, and then you were there for Watch, right?
Yes, that wasn't my program.
Not
though.
your program.
No.
So there was another Bethany for Watch.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to turn to the audience or Discord. We have 9 minutes left. If there's any questions for Bethany, fire them off. Rapid fire Q&A. Let me go on the Discord here and see if anyone has any questions directly for Bethany. Let me see. Audio quality is good today. Well, that's good. That's good. I guess I can ask you a question.
Okay.
I mean, I think I know the answer to this already, but like, you've shipped a lot already. When we ship version 1, the first thing, to me that just seems like the beginning.
It is
right.
Just the beginning,
It's like once this thing is out there and customers have it, it's like, okay, now the game starts.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think obviously the vision and what we're the most excited about is like, where is the direction that we're going, and that's why we're all here.
So if I were to ask you, I think I know the answer to this, but I want to hear your version of this now. Why does Humane exist?
Why Humane exists? I think that we started Humane because we felt like it was time for something different in every aspect of the industry. So whether we're talking about like a new kind of company, what does it mean to be a tech company? What does it mean to be a tech company in this, for this generation, which I think has very different expectations about what an employer looks like, what a work environment looks like, how you build, and what you care about and what you think about. And so I think part of it for us was like recognizing that not only consumers but also employees were looking for something very different. There was a lot of people, I think, like us who were looking for something different. And then from the consumer side, I think, you know, someone said something to me recently about their experience coming in and like and seeing and experience the product, and they said like, I can't remember the last time something took my breath away, that I saw and experienced something in tech and was like, you know, and I had like a pretty emotional response to it because I felt like, yeah, I think it's true. I think we're all, you know, we want something to be, you know, just that surprised by, that excited by, that emotionally connected to, that like you just see it and you're just, you know, like the guy who sent me the email this morning, like my jaws, I can't pick up my jaw from the floor. It was incredible, and it was electric, and like I think we all love that. Like we hear that from people, we're like, yeah, right, like that's totally why we're here. So that's what I think. Like even the new stuff we saw yesterday. I mean, we saw stuff yesterday that's not for the first product, that's for years in the future, and everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that excites me. Not it's, you know, that's why I think we exist.
We are building the future that we want to live in.
Yeah, that we're excited about.
Right.
And that all of us internally are excited about. Like yesterday, I had someone from the team come up to me and be like, man, I just want this so bad now. Like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to have it now. You know, like that's the thing, I think, when you're building something that internally you can't even wait to be like out in the world with that, you know, that's a great sign. That's a huge sign. But yeah, I think it's that piece that we're all here for.
I can't imagine what it's like for you also, because it's been so long. Right, it's been.
But also a minute. Like it's been so long, but also a minute.
Bethany, the first Humane tweets were October of 2018.
I know, and people
It's
like.
4 years.
But I will tell you, people get agitated that it's been so long.
Of
but
course,
But I
yeah,
will
of
tell you,
course.
innovation, like really hard stuff, takes time.
Of course.
And it's I think we've been so accustomed in this new world that like things happen in a like overnight, and they don't, like especially things that are really, you know, challenging hardware, software, services, all these things combined, like they take some time. They have to be an investment for a while. And so, yeah, in some ways I feel like it's been a minute. In some ways I feel like it's been 10 years. Someone said to me yesterday, like, you know, does it feel like it's moving fast or slow? And I said, in the beginning, the first year, I remember I used to tell Imran, like, we're moving too, like, this is going too slowly. This is like, and, you know, typical Imran fashion, he's like, this is all happening as it should be, you know? And I remember the one, I vibrate at this frequency of like, why is this taking forever? And so, yeah, I think in the beginning, hey, come on over. I was just talking about you.
Let me reposition
You can sit next
this.
to me.
Yeah,
You can sit next to me.
come hang.
I mean, I don't, you know, despite, no, come
No,
on, we're
no,
just wrapping up.
come.
We're
Yeah,
wrapping up.
we're about to be done anyway.
I was just saying
yeah.
that, like, in the beginning, it was feeling like it moved really slowly, and
Hey, dude.
now it's moving really fast.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for the both of you, because this was an idea, it didn't exist, and now we're
Now it exists. Now it's
closer
real.
than we've ever been to this thing being, you know, available for people to, you know, purchase and use in their day-to-day lives. Like, I'm personally excited. I've only been here for 2 months, you know, and I've only been following Humane for 2 years, but like for both of you, like, what does it feel like to be, you know, pretty close That there's
I
like
mean-
there's tangible things now, you know?
I get emotional thinking about the team because, man, there's been so many moments where it's been really hard, you know, and really, really hard. And I always tell people, like, some people ask me, like, what's been the hardest part? I'm like, how long do you have? There's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot of
Yeah.
challenges. There were a lot of conversations where I would look at Imran and be like, are we gonna get through this? Like, is this part from a technical perspective? There were a
Right,
lot of really
right.
hard things to solve. And so I get really emotional thinking about the team because the people who've been here for 4 years who believed and were just persevered through not only
Yeah.
technical challenges, but also, like, we've been building this company in one of the most challenging times for the past 4 years. Just like all the things
Yeah.
happening. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like we're at a point where we can finally start talking to people about stuff. Like the Discord is dope.
Yeah.
Imran loves the Discord, but he needs to spend more time on it.
I love like our community there. I like really not much time, so I'll jump in on a Sunday, like before I like do stuff, and so it's great. I mean, I think this is the best time. Like, there's this moment where you're building in abstract, where it's really, really exciting, right? You just get to kind of dream, and then you narrow that down to like what it is you're actually going to be building. That stuff is like what Bethany was saying. You know, it's super, super focused. It's fun, but it's the crux of the work, and here coming out of it, knowing that hey, everything's working and all that stuff, and it's going to be, you know, super great to have this thing that we can use all the time.
Feels like
it's great to be able to tell people about it.
yeah, yeah.
And so just be able to just kind of open up and just say, yeah, this is finally something that you can share.
Yeah.
Is exciting.
Yeah.
Super, super exciting.
To me, it feels awesome that I think Humane as a company, at least this is my personal perspective, we're sort of like a beacon of light in what is going on in consumer tech right now. I mean, pun intended with the logo being the sun, but like it just feels like kind of like a treacherous time for humanity, for modern technology, where like, you know, I've been excited about Humane for a long time, you know, and I think it's sort of, it's a nice feeling coming to work every day, aside from the incredible things we have over there, just to act as like, you know, a beacon of hope for people that are interested in tech, but also like someday our impact on humanity, you know, like we can look back on this live stream and be like, dang, remember when we were talking, we didn't have anything out in the world?
I'm super excited for the developers. Like, also, I know you mentioned in the Discord, like the SDK, and
So that's coming, that's happening.
We're working on it. I mean, I don't know when we're going to release it.
Okay.
Just to be frank, and that's really up to Patrick. You guys talked. And
bring
stuff.
him on and ask him again.
You know,
Give me a timeline.
but you know, we use it, and we want to make sure it's good, just like everything else.
But maybe there's a world that we bring some people in and, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
have them
we're totally
create
open.
some things.
Look, the world is different, right? It's never really going to be the way it was again, and so.
You're saying like humanity, like society, the world is different now.
We've been through a lot together.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We have survived some really tough times, and you know, we're going through it right now as well. And there have been situations, structures, and policies and values that have let people down, and we're sort of seeing those things crumble right now. There's really no other way around it.
Yeah.
You know?
Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And so to be able to just have a
Oh, there he is.
different
We
way.
just spoke your
Gates.
name. Sorry, Imran, continue.
Mr. Gates.
Mr. Gates.
Oh yeah.
Patrick Gates.
To be able to have
What's happening, dude?
just a level of focus and just
What's going
an
on?
amount
Get
of,
coffee, yeah.
rigor around things that are based on good principles, both engineering and philosophical. It's really important,
Right.
Because building for people isn't something that we can take for granted.
Right. And I think the infrastructure that has been set up here, like you guys started from literally zero, scratch, nothing,
Yeah.
just you and the experience that you guys have and the products that you've built and the way you guys interact with technology sort of took all of that stuff, so a blank whiteboard and said, what are we going to do?
Well, actually, somewhat different.
No?
No.
No.
No. Well,
of.
kind of, except it wasn't Imran and I in front of a whiteboard. It was, we came up with the idea for like, hey, we want to build this company. And like, maybe we had a couple of ideas early on. And then I came home one day and Imran was like taking shit apart and doing shit in our living room. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, this is what we're doing. And I just looked at it and I was like, hey, come on over, Patrick. And I was like, holy shit. And then we called it Patrick.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Patrick.
So it started because you had said in one of those interview or those talks that you gave that the name came before the company.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be like consultants at first. Like we were going to be like doing a consultancy, and we thought about that for a while, and then all of a sudden we're like, no, that's not who we are, and this is like,
Yeah, consultancy sucks.
it wasn't the right
I
thing.
mean, you
for
guys are
us.
builders, right?
Yes.
Well, we both done consulting.
We both
I
did.
had never done it.
No, Imran's not a consultant.
So when we,
Except you did. Remember, you had that idea one time. You were like, I'm gonna be a name generator. Like people are gonna come to me and be like,
my
what should I name your
God.
company? And Imran would be like, the name of your company should be blah.
yeah, I
You're pretty good at that.
There's a couple companies out there.
I have a funny story about that.
Did you come up with a company name?
No, I worked at a company. I worked at a startup in like in the .com bubble, like 99, 2000, and we didn't love our name. So we hired. I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah. No one will be named
We
here.
hired a prominent PR firm to help us rebrand, rename the company.
Are they still prominent?
I'd have to check, honestly. But they had done some like big things that you have heard of. And so they came out and we sat with them in a room for like, I want to say like 4 hours a day for like a week. It was like all the top people at this startup, and just talking about like who we are and why we're doing this and what is it really in the abstract, because we're trying to keep something that would like keep future options open, and they're like, great, we all talked. It was actually a very fun process and sort of intellectually stimulating. They went away, they came back a month later. We've got some names, we know we're gonna blow your socks off, we can't wait to show these to you. And they started reading them to us, and each one was like, oh my.
More cringe than the next.
Like each was worse than the next, and the first one was bad.
What was the first one? Just say.
Phileas Max.
Phileas Max.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is a tech company.
Yeah.
And
Do
let
you
me
like that,
let
Imran?
me
Should we
let
use
me
it?
guess. You didn't go with any of the names.
Yeah, no.
No.
We said thanks. We got it from here. We named it ourselves in like 2 days, and it was over.
what did you name yourself? Phileas
Convey-
Max.
Convey software.
Convey.
Convey.
Better. It's nice. Convey's nice.
I didn't love it, but it beat the hell out of it.
Phileas Max.
That's such a .com name.
Convey or Phileas Max.
Convey.
So I know you guys have
We gotta
to
go.
run.
We gotta go. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we got to think.
All right. I like this. This is
Oh
cool.
yeah, we can do this
This is
again.
fun.
This is
This
all
is
day,
every
day.
night.
I mean, yes,
I can tell you
yes.
this is never happening again, because
Oh, come on.
the only reason that we have like 20 minutes with the three of us in the same place
'cause the
at once
person
is 'cause
delayed.
we have
That's
a
what you
delayed
said.
investor, and we also have the day off,
Yeah.
True.
right?
Fair.
This never
Otherwise,
happens.
Well,
Forget it.
We don't
fine.
really have the day off, but everyone else
so
does.
maybe after we ship, when there's like a 45-second period where we can breathe for a second.
Yeah, it's never.
Well,
we can-
actually, I will tell you, the three of us do nightly calls.
We
So
do,
we
yeah,
do
we-
like 9, 9:30, 10
you want
o'clock.
to do a 10 p.m. live stream? Where are your people?
Yeah, we could do it.
I
And we
mean,
do them together, all three of us.
I'll have you know, when I was digging to make my video, it was 2 a.m. live
Oh, great.
streams.
That's perfect for us.
Combing through
Careful what you say.
LinkedIn,
That
figuring
works
out.
That works great for us. And there are some of my favorite calls because they're like super late at night. We've all been like, we're like, all three of us are just like
Yeah.
I mean,
surviving,
it's
and
like, it's
we're
the pressure of being, you know, in an office and like you're at home.
We're at
It's sort
home.
of the
We
day's
dial
already
in.
over, right? It's like let's debrief, decompress kind of thing.
Here's the thing.
It's very comfortable.
It's very,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
all are very comfortable with each other. so.
Those late night calls work really well, I think, for two big reasons. The first is we're all at home, like chilling.
That's
The second one is there's no meeting after them.
Yeah.
You could go to sleep after.
Well,
No, they could go on as long as needed.
we
No.
run
There's
2
no
hours long.
Yeah.
We can go to 11:30,
And
12
nobody's
o'clock.
freaking out about the schedule.
Oh, no one's saying you have another meeting next.
Right. Which means we don't have to be efficient about our time.
see.
Yeah,
I
we can
see.
give each other
I
space.
see.
So we just
yeah.
talk and like, you know, it's like, hey, by the way, the thing and the whatever, and boy, that was frustrating.
And then
you
sometimes
know?
Patrick will be like, hold on, I need to get a beer. Like, we're having a hard conversation.
Or, you know, we're
Wow.
fixing something or coming up with something new and you know, or
Eating a burrito.
Right.
there's always a burrito.
Just
There's
jamming,
always a
jamming
burrito.
on
Yeah.
something with no pressure from.
So those are
Yeah.
really comfortable.
Yeah, they're great.
Because there's no time pressure.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it here.
Thank you. It was good to see you all.
Goodbye live stream. Goodbye
Bye,
Discord.
everybody.
We'll see you guys
See
next
ya.
week.